Peace and love, you beautiful miracles with a spiritual level of being. Nathan here from a spiritual level of being, and you have a spiritual level of being. And today I want to discuss Dositheus the Samaritan, also known as Nathaniel, as both names mean a gift from God. Now, it was said that Dositheus was a friend, if not knew, John the Baptist. It was said that he was the teacher and friend of Simon Magus, if not his rival. Now, it was said that Dositheus wrote many writings, all of which have been destroyed. We only have accounts from his opponents, which were written after his death. Now, none of these sources even agree with each other, and they seem to be confused with other movements. Now, in the story of Dositheus being a rival of Simon Magus, it was due to, after James the Just, Jesus' brother, being killed, the early church wanted to elect a new leader, to which they wanted to elect Simon Magus, but he was away on missionary work, so they chose Dositheus as he was there. Simon Magus returns, gets upset, and challenges Dositheus to a miracle competition, to which Dositheus asked Simon if he was the standing one. Simon replies yes, and apparently Dositheus then worships Simon Magus, steps down as church leader, appoints Simon Magus as the church leader, and then leaves town, starts his own community known as the Dosithians, and then dies shortly after. Now, because we have no written accounts from him personally, we only have accounts from his opponents that were written after his death, and none of which agree with each other. We have to take these stories with grains of salt. Now, the first mentioning of Dositheus comes from the late 2nd century, written by Eusebius, an early Roman church father, who also wrote the biography of the first Christian Roman emperor, Constantine the Great. Another account comes from Hegesippus the Nazarene, whose name suggests that he was once a Jewish man converted to Christianity, and his job as an early Christian writer was to basically bash the opponents of the early Roman church, such as the Gnostics and Marcion. And he writes that Dositheus came after the death of Simon Magus. Another source we have comes from an unknown author that claims Dositheus was the first to deny the prophets of the Old Testament and gave rise to a Sadducee movement which denied the resurrection of Christ being separate from themselves. And this is more Gnostic, but they also denied the wage-orientated ethnics, such as being paid for their work in gold or being offered money. So this is similar to Simon Magus. But the only problem here is the Sadducee movements rejected the resurrection altogether, as they were Jewish people. They even would argue with the Essenes and even other Jewish belief groups, such as ones led by the Pharisees. And according to Irenaeus of the 4th century, Irenaeus of Salamis, Dositheus was a disaffected Jew who became a Samaritan, and he claimed that Dositheus was a prominent interpreter of the law, so the Jewish Bible, and that was his extreme fasting in caves that killed him. So he also mentions that his followers found him a few days after his death in a cave covered in maggots. So this is most likely a way of mocking his death, but also suggests an extreme Essene movement as well, if we read further into his writings, especially with the Essenes being known for going out in the wilderness to fast and pray. So they would find locations such as caves. Now, Irenaeus also mentions his followers abstaining from eating meat, and some abstaining from marriage and even sex, and that they practiced circumcision, fasting, the Sabbath, and they were extreme in the case of not touching impure things, and this would include people. So this suggests an extreme Essene movement. So the problem here is no single source actually agrees with each other. And we even have accounts of Samaritans attacking Dositheus as an extreme Samaritan. So it seems more than likely that this man in general would have been an Essene, and Simon would have been the more leniency with not worrying about circumcision, and his story really got mixed in with Paul. So we have to take these accounts into history to be taken with a grain of salt. So peace and love, everyone. I love you all. Connect to one mind and soul. Namaste.